is Naver Cloud. Today, we'll take a look at networking products in Naver Cloud platform. The first service we'll look into is the VPC service. VPC stands for Virtual Private Cloud, and it is a service that enables creation of a logically isolated customer-specific network space in the cloud. Currently, the IP bands that can be created with VPC are 10.0, 0/8, 172.16, 0, 12, and 192.168, 0/16. The subnets for each band are supported from a minimum of 28 bits up to a maximum of 16 bits. Up to 3 VPCs can be created per account, and the VPC peering feature is provided to enable private communication between different VPCs. VPC peering is one-way communication, so it creates two networks by specifying the requesting VPC and accepting VPC in reverse. Through VPC peering, you can enable private communication between VPCs managed by other accounts, as well as private communication between VPCs you're managing. Next, we'll take a look at Network Access Control List, which is the main component of VPC. It is a factor that reinforces the security of VPC. Network Access Control List is applied to the subnet and operates when the subnet is accessed from the outside. In Network Access Control List, you can set allow and block rules for inbound and outbound traffic, and rules are processed based on the priority when deciding whether to allow traffic. In addition, Naver Cloud Platform provides a feature called Access Control Group to strengthen security at the VPC level. Access control groups are applied for each server, and they are responsible for the communication security of servers in the subnet. Access control group only supports allow rules, and all rules are evaluated before deciding whether to allow traffic. This time, let's take a look at subnet. For subnet, the address range is specified in the form of CIDR within the IP band specified upon VPC creation. You can specify a zone when creating subnets, and you can also create multiple subnets in the same zone. Subnets are largely divided into public subnets that enable external communication, and private subnets that only allow internal communication. Public IPs can only be assigned to servers in public subnets. Currently, up to 200 subnets can be created for each VPC. By default, external communication is unavailable for private subnets. However, if you need external communication, you can enable external internet communication for servers within private subnets through NAT Gateway. After creating NAT Gateway, you need to set the path from the route table applied to the private subnet so that it is directed to the NAT Gateway for external communication. Next, we'll take a look at Load Balancer, one of the representative services of networking products. Load Balancer is a service that distributes received traffic to multiple servers. It performs the role of increasing availability and adjusting system utilization. When creating these load balancers in Naver Cloud Platform, you need to set the target group. The target group refers to the group of servers that will actually handle the traffic received by the load balancer. You can create target groups with servers in the same VPC. A server that belongs to target group A may also belong to target group B, but target group A can't be connected to multiple load balancers. The load balancer performs periodic health checks on bound servers to monitor their status. The user can set the health check cycle between 5 to 300 seconds. In addition to the health check cycle, you can also set thresholds. You can set the normal threshold and the failure threshold. Normal threshold refers to the number of successful health checks required for an abnormal target to be put back into service. Failure threshold refers to the number of failed health checks required for a normal server to be switched into the abnormal status and excluded from the load balancing target. The load balancing algorithm uses the round-robin method by default. Load balancing algorithm method changes, sticky session, proxy protocol settings, etc. can be configured after the load balancer is created. Currently, Load Balancer in Naver Cloud Platform supports TCP, Proxy TCP, HTTP, and HTTPS protocols. According to the supported protocols, load balancers are categorized into network load balancers, network proxy load balancers, and application load balancers. Each load balancer type will be described in further detail in the next slide. Naver Cloud Platform's load balancers can be selected from small, medium, and large, depending on the load balancing performance. Please note that supported CPS value varies for each load balancer type. For load balancer algorithms, in addition to the default round-robin method, which distributes traffic to servers one by one upon client request, the least connection method, which distributes new connections to the server with the fewest client connections, and the source IP hash method, which has a hash table for the client IP and distributes new connections to servers mapped to the client IP, are supported. Now, let's take a closer look at the characteristics of each load balancer. Application Load Balancer supports HTTP and HTTPS protocols, and it is capable of branch processing based on host header and branch processing based on URL, since it can operate in the L7 layer. In addition, the Application Load Balancer supports all branch processing methods, including round-robin, least connection, and source IP hash. Next, if you look at the Network Load Balancer, it supports TCP high-performance processing and logs the client IP as it is. The Network Load Balancer supports the source IP, has, and round-robin methods. The last load balancer type we'll look at is the Network Proxy Load Balancer. Network Proxy Load Balancer provides proxy-based communication, so you can use it in TCP-based applications that require session maintenance. In addition, you can apply the same load balancing algorithms as the Application Load Balancer. Now, let's take a closer look at the features of each load balancer. If your system needs a TCP-level high-performance load balancing feature, which type of load balancer would be suitable? That will be the Network Load Balancer. The Network Load Balancer supports from a minimum of 100,000 to a maximum of 400,000 connections per second. It also implements direct server return, which responds directly to the customer server, so you can use a faster and more efficient service. If you need to manage TCP sessions, then the Network Proxy Load Balancer is suitable. If you need SSL authentication and encryption processing, then you can use the Application Load Balancer or Network Proxy Load Balancer. At this time, you need to register the SSL certificate to Certificate Manager in advance. If you want to apply various types of load balancing algorithms when using load balancers, which type of load balancer would be suitable? You can use the Application Load Balancer and Network Proxy Load Balancer. Please note that both Application Load Balancer and Network Proxy Load Balancer support all load balancing algorithms, including round-robin, least connection, and source IP hash. It processes branching on the application level by checking the packet header for HTTP and HTTPS traffic. Rules such as host header-based branch processing, URL path pattern-based branch processing, weighted branch processing, and redirection response processing are supported for the load balancer listener, so you can choose the Application Load Balancer if you need a more detailed configuration. It provides basic monitoring for the load balancers you've created. Through this basic monitoring, Network Load Balancer monitoring provides information about 5 items including concurrent connection per second, traffic in, and available hosts. Application Load Balancer monitoring provides information about 6 items by adding traffic out. Lastly, let's take a look at load balancer port settings. When setting a load balancer rule, you must set the load balancer port to be different from ports with other load balancer rules. The server port can be identical to a server port with other load balancer rules. The networking service we'll look at after load balancer is the Global DNS service. Through the Global DNS service, you can register and use various records for your domain, and you can map alias records to the domain configured in Global DNS. It also provides a monitoring feature, enabling you to check the number of requests for the configured domain. That's all for our look at major networking products provided by Naver Cloud Platform. We'll be back with some interesting content next time. Thank you.